Oh, hello, hello. Hey guys, I'm so excited here to be with my friend Maggie. And just before we start, I wanted to say quickly that this couldn't be at a better time because I am like personally moving through an identity shift or some kind of calibration, right? I don't know if I'm shifting, but something's happening. And so having Maggie here at this time is just so right because that's what Maggie specializes in. She's an identity coach. And so yeah, I'm just so excited to be here. And one of the reasons I wanted Maggie on is because she is an expert in embodied movement. And in what I do, I know that to help people move past body shame, body image issues, is to actually just live in your body and to actually love being in it, right? So you do the things you actually love doing, not putting yourself into punishing exercise that you hate. And so I'm really excited for this conversation and how it's going to unfold. And so to begin with, Maggie, would you like to just introduce yourself and then please take your time and like tell your story, how you got here and what you do. And yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And we talked before we hit record that we are all going through some sort of, like you said, recalibration, not sure if we're shifting, what we're doing, but I just want to welcome that for everybody because I think that's the biggest part of the identity work that I like to do is that we're always changing and we're always growing. So thank you for, the vulnerability around that is what is so important. So thank you for sharing, and we can all relate in so many different ways. So thank you for having me. I have a pretty long, lengthy story of kind of even stuff that started back in my childhood that then surfaced, has resurfaced, might even resurface again. And so it's really important to know that sometimes the way we have created our lives has actually come from such those childhood like wounds or things that we might have been conditioned to see, feel, hear, and act like. So I think that's a huge part of my story. And I think the biggest, most kind of jaw-dropping part of my story is that I burnt my entire life down as I knew it at the age of 35. I just turned 40 in October, so it wasn't too long ago. Sometimes it feels like it was a lifetime ago that I did do this.
Yeah.
Um, but I had decided at an age of 35, I was like, I cannot continue to lie to myself, waking up every day with the anxious feeling, the sadness. I was in a very abusive relationship. And a lot of times when I like to describe my relationship as most people, when you think of abuse, you think of it's physical. You can see it from the outside.
Mhm.
And for me, mine was actually just mentally and emotionally, which is actually, I feel like sometimes runs deeper because most
Yeah.
people don't even see it
Yeah. Yeah.
or know it because we're really good at hiding it or masking it. And so that was a big part of for a decade of my life. I was literally creating this so-called life that I thought was mine. And I owned a fitness studio. I had what it looked like on the outside was like, oh my gosh, she's got this beautiful body. She has, a business that's gone nationwide. She has all these different things. But for me, I was so empty inside. And there was so much body shame. There was mental and emotional, all the things of my own doing, because I do believe that I was allowing certain behaviors because I didn't truly know what my identity would have been
Mm.
if I were to leave that decade-long relationship. So I was like holding on by like the little hairs or the just waiting and grasping at any kind of thing to say like, it's gonna be okay. The things will change. Magically, it'll just feel like the life you want to live.
Mm.
And if you've ever felt that way, I'm here to tell you that it probably won't just magically turn around.
Mhm.
um, and so I did. I decided after lots of deliberations with myself and going back and forth and trying to figure out how I could just absolutely just make it work. I decided that my life was more important and I was holding myself hostage of the work that I do now.
Mm.
And I do believe that I went through the decade long of challenges and things to be able to share my story and to be able to help other people know that it's okay to completely start over, rewrite your story, and release what the past has given you because it's actually teaching you the lessons that you need to know
Yeah.
to step into that new version of yourself.
Oh my goodness. It's so hard when you're in it though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean when you're in it, you're like, oh, like and it is the times where you're just, and there's times even still where I'm like, gosh, I could just go back to some of it seems simpler, but we always get lost in that the chaos of life is actually comfortable. And I
Yeah.
talked about that on a podcast episode not long ago. It's actually the signal saying if it's this comfortable, but you're also very much blinded to the outside world, or you're not feeling good,
Yeah.
that's your cue of saying, okay, maybe it's actually not comfortable. I'm just addicted
Yeah.
to the familiar chaos.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. When you talk about like, because I've been recently experiencing this like feeling of like you can sort of present this image, right? But and you think, okay, look, now the metrics look really good. But then if on the inside you feel like this isn't real,
Hmm.
that emptiness remains there, eh? Like, because you think that the metric or the appearance is going to be what makes you happy, but then once you do like reach it or whatever, right? You're like, dang, I still feel really shit. And like this, so in my line of work, when it comes to body image and relationship with food, the standard, I guess, conventional approach is like, okay, well, you just lose weight and then you'll feel good, right?
Yeah.
And then the amount of people, myself included, right, in the past, it's like you reach that goal weight, and then you're like, how come I still feel really inadequate? And
Yeah.
also, I don't know if this has happened before, but like sometimes you lose weight. You don't really, right? Your body changes its composition when you become ill, right? And you can't eat, you can't drink, all of that stuff, right? And you lose muscle, all of that. And you're like, oh, but my clothes fit a little bit better or better, or, like the way you want. And then you realize, but I feel like real crap. So I'm like at my ideal weight, but I don't feel great. And so it's like, it's just helping. I mean, whenever I say I'm helping others, it's also helping myself, right? It's just realizing
Mhm.
that, chasing something on the outside, which you think will give you validation, never will, no matter how tempting and how real it seems to look like it will, but it doesn't. And I just wanted to read, like, there's a post that you wrote I think it was a couple of days ago, maybe it was last week, but you wrote, for a long time, I didn't work out because I love myself. I worked out because I didn't. I chased a body, chased validation, starved for enough, and still hated what I saw. Now, movement is my medicine, not punishment, not proving, a place I return to myself again and again. And this really hit me real deep because part of the work I do is also helping people re just to move back into their bodies, to live back in their bodies again, right? Like, even if you want to, quote unquote, release weight or lose weight, well, guess what? You have to be in your body to do that. You can't be like calculating outside and like
Mhm.
wishing for the body to change, right? You have to actually embody the form you're in right now in order to shift it, right? If it needs shifting at all, because sometimes it's
Right.
just this that needs shifting, the mind. It's not actually the body, right? But anyway, I would love for you to just flesh that out a little bit more, maybe give a bit more context, because those words, I could tell they were coming from a very deep place. And so I'd love for you to share more on that.
Yeah, so it's so interesting when you say that. Even like when you read it back to me, it was just hitting me in such this wave of um chasing something that doesn't even exist. I actually speak about this on my next episode, releasing about how like I had such an etched in my system from a childhood wound at like I would say in seventh grade when we're all just still trying to figure out like who we are and do we love ourselves? Do we not love ourselves? And I think that's where a lot of my body shame came from, was even just back in the seventh grade era of me. And then it continued throughout high school. Then it led into relationships that I was living. And for me, I wasn't working out to feel healthy and feel that safety and feel good. It was almost like I had to chase some sort of dream body or whatever it may felt was supposed to feel like. And if you rewind back into the era of 2016 to 2019, Maggie, you would see that on the outside, like you've mentioned, I had a pretty killer body. But the emptiness inside, I was still chasing some sort of experience or feeling that didn't come with the body. It came with actually now me healing myself through body shame and body image issues that I've struggled with for over 12, two, almost 3 decades, if we're being very honest.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was chasing the enoughness. I was chasing the be able to look good and feel good and wear the outfits or whatever it may have been, but there was no satisfaction there. There wasn't a satisfaction because I actually still looked in the mirror and I thought I was fat. I thought I didn't feel beauty. I felt emptiness. I felt that I was still searching for another number on the scale
Mm.
or another picture that might show some chiseled abs. That then I saw the chiseled abs in the pictures,
Yeah.
but in all reality, I still had a very um, poor reality of myself through the mirror. So it wasn't about what I saw in the mirror. It was actually what I was saying out loud was what was reflecting to the mirror, not necessarily being able to see my true self.
That really is it, isn't it? Because I
Yeah.
feel like I can relate with that 100%. Like no matter what you actually look like, but when you look in the mirror, what you're saying to yourself, that doesn't seem to change. And like even if you meet a certain level that you wanted to meet, that then becomes not enough anymore. So it's like
Mhm.
a constant just moving goalpost. Like you can never quite arrive. And that, yeah, it's such a I really relate with that feeling because like I want to be super, super honest too, because I struggled with like a full-blown eating disorder for
Mm.
like close to I want to say close to a decade, and then the body image stuff, like I don't think it ever really goes away. Like maybe I don't exhibit the symptoms of an eating disorder anymore. But like make no mistake, I'm still human and there are still days and I've got 3 kids, I'm like a mother and all I've seen my body go through all these changes, and yet I don't think that fear or that kind of sense of emptiness ever quite completely goes away. And so I think what we really need to do is to like get that kind of fairy tale idea out of our minds of like when I'm healed, then blah 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 blah, everything will be fine, right? Because I don't think it works like that. I think it's actually like a lifetime devotional
Mm.
commitment to loving yourself because it's not easy. On some days
No.
when all of the stuff is coming up, like that's the last thing you want to do. But yet, you stay present for yourself. You witness all of these wounds and these trauma patterns, and you still take care of yourself. That's
Mm.
one of the pillars of my work is just unconditional self-care. Agendaless healing, right? You're not healing so you can get to a place. It's like if you're alive, you're going to have more to learn. And,
Mhm.
that's, yeah. So that's what came up for me when you shared those things about the body shame. And I want to share with you my hypothesis and you let me know how you think. But like, I think under all of that, like feeling of never good enough,
Mm.
I almost wonder if that's like a bit of it's actually not the root. Like, I wonder if that's actually covering something else underneath. Maybe a sense of like, just there is so much sadness and I don't want to feel it. And so I'm going to blame it on my body and I'm just going to make these plans to change my body. And that gives me something to focus on so that I
Mhm.
don't have to actually feel what's even under that. Because my hypothesis is that even under that sense of not enoughness, there's something even deeper. And the not enoughness and the not good enough, not pretty enough, not thin enough, that's actually a cover for something else you don't want to feel. Let me know what you think. That's just kind of what I've been intuiting.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that because I do feel I've actually have taken another word out of my vocabulary lately because I feel like it's a mask or it's a cover of, oh, I can just wait and I can just do that later because I have this, I don't even want to say the word, overwhelming feeling, you know? And so I've been catching myself. And so when you say that, it's so funny because I think I've actually had that question asked is like, what is the not enoughness? And I don't know that there really is ever been a time in my life that I have felt that I'm not enough. But yeah, what would it be that I'm covering up? When I dig deeper and I kind of feel that when you even asked me, I was kind of like getting a little bit like defensive in a way, like, well, yeah, that has to be it. But I really don't know. I think that there's so many layers to the conversation we're talking about, even just with the body image for me, I believe that that seventh grade me that had this horrific incident, so to speak, it felt as if it's attacked me for life.
Mm.
Um, and when I sat and I talked about it, even through my podcast, it even brought up a lot for me to say, is it the not enoughness or what is um the true feeling behind it? And it feels almost just like I can't even label it, to be quite honest.
Mm.
I think it's
Yeah.
something that I'm really having to kind of dig into a little bit. And it's weird that it's all happening this week when you and I are chatting because synchronicities are just so apparent in my life right now. But
Mm.
like this whole conversation is just so much about what I talked about just a couple days ago. And then it's just when you ask me that, I don't know that I have an answer for you of like, what is it really covering?
Yeah. And maybe it doesn't matter because I want to move into talking about the body and
Mhm.
movement and how that in itself is it's healing beyond words, right? Because I think so much. I mean, if I were to sum up like what I think is the issue with people and relationship with food and body, it's primarily because we're not living in our bodies, right? And so we're trying to like control our food, control eating with the mind, which is not equipped to be running a body, like our body runs itself, right, in ways that we can't even imagine or fathom. And yet we don't trust it to just be at the right weight or you know what I mean? Like so much of it is externalized and then we internalize that as, oh, that must be true. Like I shouldn't be listening to my hunger cues. I should, I should be eating this many grams of protein and that many grams of, like all of that stuff, right? I mean, it has its place. I'm not saying don't
Sure.
ever do that. I'm sure it has its place. But when it comes to embodiment work and actually allowing yourself to come back into your body again, sometimes it works to give people some like hooks to talk about it psychologically, to talk about, nervous system regulation, talk about all these things. But at some stage, it becomes you just have to do it. Like you have to go and swim if you love swimming. You just have to go and dance if you actually love dancing. And don't do the things that you actually hate doing because
Mm.
that actually, you check out of your body, right? Like when you're
Yeah.
doing things you don't want to do, you're not present. But in order to be present in your body, you've got to actually start moving it and doing things that you actually enjoy. And that kind of mysteriously heals things that maybe hours and hours of talking would never get
Oh,
to, right?
yeah.
So yeah, I'd love for you to like tell me more about embodied movement and just what you do and what you take your clients through and the kinds of shifts you see from that perspective.
Yeah. So when I talk about embodied movement, people might think it's like, oh, this different elaborate type of style or whatever, but it is. It's just really connecting mind, body, and soul to being able to say that I'm not going to this workout class or I'm not doing this because I'm punishing my body for what I ate yesterday. Or it's not about going in and doing this so that I can go out to dinner with my partner later and indulge or whatever. It's really about intentionally moving your body and understanding that you're like you said, our bodies are so powerful. Yes, our minds are really powerful, but our body and our mind and our soul, when they are embodied together, that is when you will find the true connection of why, like for me, I definitely had an eating disorder. It was my own, I claimed, oh, I have an eating disorder. I had the things that I did. I had the over exercising. I had all of those in my brain. Now, to me, I love that I can actually wake up because I'm confidently choosing the routine that makes me feel connected to mind, body, and soul. If somebody were to tell me, go run 13 miles on the treadmill and eat an apple and this, that, and the other thing, and then get back to me, I'd be like, screw you.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't sound fun at all. I don't want to do that. And so I think we try to force
Mhm.
what is meant to, or that is shown over lots of things in our society is this is what you should do. This is how you should eat. Like you were saying, counting your macros, eating this way, out of this. And it's like, can't we just go back to, I love to say it's die is in the word diet, okay? And life is in the word lifestyle, right? And so I want to teach people how to connect through that embodied movement and be able to, like you said, listen to your hunger cues. I was just telling a client this yesterday. Like, why do we have to say because it's 2 o'clock and I have the rumbles in my stomach, I can't have a snack until 4 because it ruins my whole quote unquote plan.
Yeah.
And so I used to do that too. I mean, I used to not even be able to look at food because I thought it would jump onto my body and then it make me gain 30 pounds and all the things. And so just being able to, for me, it's been such a great way to the embodied fitness or movement of my body has actually made me appreciate the intention around fueling my body to
Mm.
feel good in my skin. Because it's right back to the beginning of our conversation where I didn't feel good in my skin. But guess why I didn't feel good in my skin? Because I didn't properly fuel my body
Yeah.
and I was moving it out of punishment, not pleasure.
Yeah. And when
And
you move it out of a punishment, you actually create more stress in your body. And
mhm,
then your body's going to actually hold on to whatever it can, water, nutrients, fat, it won't feel safe to actually let it go, right? It's like the more punishing and the more stress you put on it, the less safe it feels. And like, how do you expect a body to release what it doesn't need if it's like,
mhm.
I might die if, it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
the when you mentioned the diets, I actually thought, isn't it funny? Like I mean, we are animals, right? Like, we're part animal, part divine, whatever. I don't know how people see see this existence, but I think, we're both, right? We have this divine kind of connection, and we're also animals. And
Yeah.
like so I live in the mountains and I see the deer just like roaming around, there's foxes, often, at times there's moose, and it's like they just eat when they eat. They're not
Yeah.
like thinking like, oh, it's the sun is at this angle. I cannot eat now. It's like we're
Right.
the only species, like in the animal kingdom, that manipulates food and
Mm,
what we put into our bodies for a certain external appearance, right? Or a certain result. And I wonder
mhm.
if you could speak a little bit to that as well. Just this, we have this like attachment to results. And isn't it ironic how like the more we chase a result, the further it runs away from us, right? Like, for example, with dieting, right?
Yeah.
It's always something like do this for a month, do this for,
Right.
6 weeks, and then you're going to have a different body. And then, and people do it, right? And then what
Right.
happens afterwards? What happens afterwards? Comes right back, right? Like
Yeah.
nothing has really changed. All you've done is manipulate your body
Yeah.
for a certain amount of time, but it hasn't changed at all.
No.
So isn't it funny, like we want speed, we want to do it fast, and then we create like a 3 decade long obsession with food and body, right?
Yes. Yeah. Diet has always been a word, right? We all have heard it throughout the years. And I have a feeling some of the diet skinny culture is coming back, and it freaks me out because I just worry for even just anybody growing up nowadays. It's like anything in this world is very heavy, but it comes down to again that we are so seasoned to see the quick results, the quick fixes. And we fixate on, well, if she can go from this to that, or he can go from this to that, I can do that too. But like you said, we don't focus on it's actually a feeling that we're going for. And I was just talking to my client yesterday about that because she would like to lose 20 pounds. And I love that for her. But I also said, well, if you lose 20 pounds, if I could help you lose 20 pounds, which I'm certain we can do that, but what are you going to feel at 20 pounds lighter? What's going to be the emotion that gets to come a part of that? Because no matter what you see on the scale, that's just the feedback. It's not giving you the result that you're looking for to say like, oh, I feel so good. I feel lighter. I feel happier. I feel healthier. I feel more in control of my emotions.
Mm.
That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for the number on the scale or the diet to teach us how to get there. And then we get there and we're like, okay, well, so like now what? Like I don't get it. And I've done that. I've had my fair share of the, oh, let me see what this can do. Quickly. And it's just it's kind of sad because I think we all are just in it for as fast as we can get somewhere, we will do it. And then we get there and we're like, hmm, there's still a lot there.
And it's not sustainable. That's the main
No.
thing. Like my beef with dieting in general is just the fact that you actually haven't made any changes. You've just kicked the can further down the road. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because like you can spend 3 months, however long. I mean, 3 months is even long, right? For a diet. Diet's usually a
Yeah.
couple of weeks type of thing.
Yeah.
But then, after those 2 weeks, when you've been restricting yourself severely, you binge after that.
Hmm.
And then, right, like it's almost like it's so guaranteed that that'll happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember hearing like this person talk about how, you know, if you were told that, say you're about to get on a plane, right, and you were told that, did you know that the failure rate of the captain, in landing planes is pretty high? 95% of the time, you're not going to land safely. Like, are you going to get on that plane? Right? And
Oh,
meanwhile, with dieting, that's the statistic. It's actually I'm being conservative with 95. It's more like 98 to
yeah.
99% of people who go on weight loss diets will gain it back, plus more, right?
Correct.
And yet
Yeah.
we keep repeating this pattern, and it's just like it's insane, really. It is like the definition of insanity, right? Like you would not get on a plane if that was it's kind of if that was the failure rate, no one would be flying. And yet when it comes to dieting, maybe it's just our human kind of inclination to want something quickly, to, have that instant gratification instead
Mm,
of like you say with your work, what is it that you actually want to feel? Because that's actually what you want, but you think that it's the appearance of what you
right.
want. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, like when you were saying the embodiment of it, like even for me, a squat is a squat, a lunge is a lunge. I'm not reinventing this wheel, but it's like, how do you feel in your body when you are doing movement?
Mm.
We're not rushing through the motions just because then we get to say we worked out, we
Yeah,
checked
yeah,
the box. It's like, how can you slow down and intentionally know that in 30 minutes, which is really actually no time,
yeah,
when we all think about it, we've spent 30 minutes a day probably scrolling or watching TV, or maybe try to triple that number.
yeah,
But we think that by spending 30 minutes of dedicated time on intentionally moving our body or intentionally even setting ourselves up for success around food
Mhm.
and intentionally eating, we're wasting time or something. And we have to do the quick fixes because it's like, well, that's not going to work because I'd actually have to take time for myself.
Mm.
I'll do this instead because I can do this faster. But yeah, it's like you said, the failure rate is so high that it makes me wonder why we do chase that and why there's so much even still coming out. I could talk for hours about some of the things that I'm seeing about like injecting things into your body and just thinking that that's your saving grace.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, and I'm not here to judge. And if that's what people need to do, I think that that's fine. But for me, I think the more connection that you have through your own body and your own movement and the intentionality of safety and security in your own skin, you will have far better results that are actually going to last over your lifetime than the yo-yo diets or the poking my skin with something and then magically looking in the mirror going, like you said earlier, it's like, well, my clothes fit better. Okay, well, but does your body feel better? Does your mind feel more connected? Or is it just that you decided in your mental brain to say, oh, because I've lost 5 pounds or my clothes are fitting better, I'm healed. And it's
Yeah.
just not. That's the whole fairy tale land that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's about how to create the embodiment of who you are and be able to look in the mirror and feel that as you're looking in the mirror, not the shame that comes along with most women for sure that I know of is that it's an instant pick apart of what I look like. I don't like this outfit because it hugs my one thing over here or we just that's what we instantly are so conditioned to do instead of actually looking at our bodies and being like, thank you for showing up today. Thank you for breathing
Yeah.
again today.
Yeah, I know. I love that so much, eh? I think that's one of those things that, again, it's not going to come naturally, but we do need to just like practice flipping the script, don't we?
Mhm.
Because, like, I remember, like, I think this is like a Tony Robbins thing, right? It's like he said that the human brain, it's not designed for greatness, it's designed to survive. And so
Mhm.
you're always going to notice the things that might take you out first, right? So you're always going to have a negativity bias. So, like, if you're walking past and you see the bushes, rustling, you're not going to be like, oh, maybe it's just a cute bunny. Like you'll be like, could be a tiger. I'm going to get out of here, right? We have a negativity
Yeah.
bias, right? And so like
Mhm.
when it comes to our own appearance, I think there's actually so much like neuroscience around it. It's like we can feel compassion for others a lot easier than we can feel it for ourselves because the when we turn the mirror back on ourselves, it's a lot harsher. And
Mhm.
so I think like what you said, that really takes like it's a practice, isn't it? It's not, again, it's not a solution. Like, here you go, just do this. It's actually like I'm going to do this even on the days where I feel really crap. I'm going to
Mhm.
notice, the things that are actually working for me instead of picking apart everything. And that's not just, it's not an injection. It's not a pill. It's something you got to actually commit to doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Hugely. I'm just shaking my head over here thinking like, yeah, I mean, it's so true. And I, I even as my mom asked me one day, she's like, "You're so dedicated to your fitness. How come sometimes you get lost in other aspects of?" And I'm like, "Well, it's kind of funny because I feel like I'm so dedicated to everything that I do, but there's one thing about my morning that I just feel addicted to in the bestest of way because it sets me up for a
Mm.
day of success. Now, not every day feels good. I just actually had to say something yesterday. I've been lying to people because it can be lonely. It can be it can be all different aspects of your life can actually still happen when you still are doing the deep inner work.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, I've committed to myself to be able to do something that feels as if I'm keeping myself on the path of forward,
Mm.
not on the path of, oh, well, I could start next week again, or, well, I've tried and I guess it's never going to work for me because that's what most people do is it's like, I've tried all the things. That's what I get a lot is, oh, I've tried everything. Well, have you actually tried just being connected with yourself?
Yes, I love
Have you
that so
tried to actually
much.
be honest with yourself and
Mhm.
say, because that's what I teach a lot about with the identity work is self-awareness.
Yeah.
Like if you say, oh, I've tried everything. Okay, well, I would like to dig a little deeper and ask you, what have you tried? And how long did you try it for?
Yeah.
And then also when you failed, quote unquote,
Mhm.
what did you do? Because you went right back into the spiral of shame.
Yeah.
And so that's what happens is I tell that to my clients too. Don't weigh yourself every day because every day, even if you think, oh, I see one number go and it doesn't, then what do? You spiral right back into, oh, see, it's not working. Oh man, oh my gosh. Okay, it's all over. I shouldn't have ate that grape yesterday. It's the
Yeah.
instant instead of like you were kind of just talking about, we instantly go for there's a bear in the woods. Well, it actually could just be that we there's nothing wrong with us, right?
Yeah.
And we tend to think, oh, there's something wrong, it's never going to work. And I think it's sad that we have to think that that's what's really happening, when it's just more about how can you be more aware of your own intentional day and be able to say to yourself that you are going to, no matter what you feel like, stay connected to your inner strength.
I love that so much. It really is just about being connected to yourself. And the intention is everything, isn't it? Like
Mhm.
the difference between I'm doing this movement because I need to burn off some cookies. Like I hate that saying,
Yeah.
by the way. It's just that entire way of thinking and even using scales, right? Like wouldn't it, how much freedom would we all have if we didn't have those numbers to represent something, you know? Because the thing is, there's nothing wrong with measuring things, but it's what you make it mean
Hmm.
and the intentionality behind it. And I just feel like so often we're moving from a place of not enough, I need to fix myself in order to get approval. But the thing is, in order to feel good, you just got to connect to yourself. It's
Hmm.
like it seems so simple, and yet we're so tempted to do the reverse of still seeking the external. But really, you just it's just about taking people back, and myself included, right? We're all included. No one's
Oh,
like excluded.
absolutely.
Just back to yourself. It's the
Yeah.
connection to you, right? Like,
Hmm.
like, and what I love about this work, and from the sounds of like when the work you're doing, you're taking people through these movements, but they can't avoid the deep work, can they? Those things will come up. You
Yeah.
know.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's one thing I think about all the time is that we can do whatever you want to do, but if there's not the mindset shifts and the changing of like what you actually do believe in yourself, it's not going to change anything.
Mm,
A perfect example of that. I mean, if you look at my body, 7 years ago, it would have been like, oh, wow, she has this, successful business. She has this body. She's got to feel so good. And if you peeled back the front layer of just the mask that I was wearing, you would notice that every single thing inside of my body was so dysregulated and disconnected from myself because I didn't love myself. I didn't like what I looked like in the mirror. I wasn't ever intentional about eating. I was scarfing things down at the end of the night, thinking, okay, well, I at least refueled, but why couldn't I have eaten at 8 o'clock in the morning to fuel my body to actually feel good? So there was just such this vicious cycle. And so, it's just crazy. And now I even still sometimes when I'm like, oh, I'll go to have a coffee date with somebody, I'm like, oh my God, I can't get a coffee. It's 2 o'clock. How can I get a coffee? I can't have a coffee. And then that's that old narrative that I have to say to myself, that was the old person. And I choose to change my thought and say, no, I actually can have a coffee with whole milk, by the way, and feel good about it because I'm intentionally saying it's the connection to myself. It makes me feel good. I'm having a connection with somebody across the table. It's about the experience that we allow ourselves to feel instead of punishing ourselves to say, uh-oh, I have 4 coffee dates this week and I have dinner out with friends on this night and this night and that, whatever. And so diets ruined for the
mm,
rest of my life because we all know that there's a barbecue, there's a grandma's birthday, there's a sister's birthday. There's always going to be things in our life that say, well, I can't start the diet yet. I can't do that yet because I'm going to instantly fail. And I remind myself that nothing works because nothing works. I won't even start. But if we actually just started and realized that it's the choices that we make on a daily basis that
yeah.
compound over time instead of the one experience where you go and actually eat the cake and a slice of pizza
Hmm.
and something else, it's not about shaming yourself and shitting on yourself that you should not be absolutely like, we're not perfect.
Hmm.
And even when I thought I was perfect, I was nowhere near perfect. And my body was paying for it, the price.
I love that. I could
Yeah.
feel, like when you were saying those things, especially when you're talking about like the choices that you were making, like, instead of going to your head and be like, oh, I can't have this now, you kind of, I could feel it. I just want to say that. Yeah, that intention, that connection, that
Hmm.
love. I think that's actually what we want, isn't it? Like we
Yeah.
actually just want to feel like I'm okay, I'm at home here, right?
Hmm.
Instead of like grasping for this to feel better, that to feel better. Maybe if I change this, it's going to be better. But I could really feel it when you said that. Yeah. So thank you so much, Maggie.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, do you want to just share the offerings that you have? I'm so excited to hear these because I'm coming to some of them. So
Yeah, so I actually do, if anybody is local to the Littleton kind of Highlands Ranch, I guess Denver area, I do offer classes. throughout the week, I do two different formats, and I love to have people just come and experience. I always say everything about my work is an experience.
Mm.
Don't ever judge it until you try it because you have no idea what to expect. And I think if you let the guard down and just come in and let your body move in this intentional way, it'll change your life. And then I actually love to talk about my podcast because it's new and it's exciting, and I love people to hear it. It's called The Shit We Don't Say Out Loud.
I love that name.
Yeah, thank you. And it's all about body image, the shame, the stuff we've been told to silence down, and it's all about bringing the truth to the mic and being able to say to yourself, like, I have suffered with this for far too long, and I'm ready to just like let it out. Because by us sharing our stories, it lets other people breathe a little bit lighter and say, oh my gosh, we are actually all on this thing called life together.
Mm.
And that's what I want for that podcast. And then one other really special sacred place that I actually just launched is called Her Space. And it's a safe place for women to gather basically every second Friday of the month. And we just drop in with each other, silence the outside noise. And there's a theme each month, but it's just a very soft, gentle place. And I keep saying it. The best way to describe it is it's the hug that you didn't know you needed.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
I'm coming to it, by the way.
Yay, I'm so excited. Yes, this month is going to be all about finding the love from within because, the month of February is always this, I feel very toxic about like, oh, it's the love and you have to have a partner. And if you don't have a partner and the shames around that kind of stuff. And so this one is really intentionally set for, I want to have everybody come in and have the love from within and then be able to share that love to everybody that's there that gathers and then collectively go out and send some love to somebody. So,
That is so resonant also just with what we've been talking about, right? Like you can't source anything from the outside,
no, yeah.
including, like getting things from your partner, right? It's like,
Yeah.
no, you bring your own supply, it's yours. It's always going to be yours. And I just love that message so much.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Maggie. This has
Thank
been
you.
so much fun. And like I said before, like the timing of this couldn't be better. Just where I'm at, where I'm
Mm,
at currently, and just even the theme of this month being,
mhm.
self-love coming from the inside. This has been so, so fun and so nourishing. So thank you again.
Yes, thank you. This was amazing. And I just feel like that, like you said, it was just so needed. Um, like I said, breathe a little lighter just because we're sharing our own experiences. And this was amazing. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.